hidden beneath the quiet waters of the Aegean Sea, between the rocky cliffs of Antikythera, lay a secret that would one day shake the foundations of human history. It began with a storm, not a spectacular one, but the kind that sailors curse and historians later thank. In the spring of 1901, a crew of Greek sponge divers sought shelter after fierce winds tore through the Mediterranean. They weren't explorers, not scientists, just men trying to earn a living. But when one diver sank beneath the waves, his eyes met a sight that would outlive every empire history has ever known. Down there, resting on a seabed cluttered with marble statues and bronze limbs, was a shipwreck older than Rome itself. The diver returned to the surface trembling, speaking not of treasure, but of corpses staring back at him from the deep. The others laughed, thinking the sea had rattled his nerves. Yet what they salvaged in the weeks that followed would silence every doubt. Amid precious statues and amphorae of forgotten wine, they pulled up something that should not have existed. A chunk of encrusted metal, twisted and lifeless, green with centuries of corrosion. To the untrained eye, it looked worthless. But history would prove it was anything but. At first, no one understood what they had found. The object was tossed aside, catalogued, and left to rest in shadows at the National Archaeological Museum of Athens. It was 1901, and Greece was young, its scholars focused on marble beauty, not rusted remains. For 50 years, it remained nearly invisible, ignored, mislabeled, forgotten. But time, as always, is patient. Eventually, a handful of scientists began to notice marks engraved along its surface lines, numbers, Greek letters. Beneath that corrosion, gears and precision-cut teeth began to emerge. And suddenly, the silence around the Antikythera wreck began to whisper with new meaning. What kind of civilization, 2 millennia before the invention of modern machines, could have built a mechanism of such complexity? The discovery challenged everything we thought we knew about human progress. When scientists X-rayed the artifact in the mid-20th century, they were stunned. Inside that crumbling mass lay interlocking gears arranged with mathematical perfection. Ratios so precise, tolerances so minute, they rivaled the watchmakers of the Renaissance. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't decorative. It was intentional design, mechanical logic wrapped in bronze and mystery. The realization sparked a quiet revolution in thought. This wasn't a clock, or a trinket, or a celestial decoration. It was a machine, an ancient computer that calculated the movement of the heavens. The moon, the sun, eclipses, the rhythm of celestial cycles all turning, all synchronized. And suddenly, the story of human intelligence stretched backward further than anyone had dared to imagine. Picture it now, in the 1st century BCE, hands carving teeth in bronze, perfectly spaced, perfectly aligned. In a world without precision tools, without lenses, without steel. Someone, or maybe a group of someones, built this with knowledge so advanced it blurred the line between science and magic. It was as if a fragment of the future had fallen into the past. The Antikythera mechanism had no right to exist in its time. Yet there it was, undeniable, humming silently across 20 centuries. The magnitude of this realization grew with every new study. Scholars who once dismissed the idea of ancient technology began to reconsider. The Greeks had philosophy, yes, and architecture. But this was engineering. It was algorithmic thinking cast in bronze wheels and inked with astronomical precision. A leap of mind so vast it forced historians to redraw the very map of human ingenuity. And yet, what's most haunting isn't what we discovered, but what we lost. If people 2,000 years ago could craft machines capable of predicting eclipses and charting planetary motion, what else did they know? Could other devices perhaps more advanced have vanished with time, hidden beneath sands, crushed under ruins, or dissolved in saltwater silence? The mechanism from Antikythera is not just an artifact. It's evidence. Evidence that history is not a straight road of progress, but a cycle like the gears within its corroded shell turning endlessly between brilliance and forgetting. Imagine the moment that Diver's fingers first brushed against its sharp, barnacled edges. The ocean pressing down around him. The dim outline of a will barely visible through grime and shadow. He could not have known he was touching the most advanced machine of the ancient world. Yet in that instant, the past reached out to the present. A whisper across time. A flicker of human genius the sea tried, and failed, to erase. Today, scientists from NASA, MIT, and the British Museum still study its fragments. They call it the first analog computer, the first mechanical model of the cosmos. But beyond the science lies something deeper, a reminder that genius is not bound by time. The same curiosity that led to silicon chips once carved bronze gears with divine precision. Perhaps the true story of technology isn't about invention, but rediscovery. When you look at the Antikythera mechanism, you're not just staring at metal. You're looking into a mirror, one polished by centuries of ignorance and rediscovery. Behind its broken wheels, there lies a question that no algorithm can solve. How many times has humanity already reached the stars, only to forget the way? The Antikythera wreck was unlike any other discovery in the history of archaeology. The sea had claimed it long before modern nations existed, its timbers eaten by centuries, its treasures scattered across the seabed like the bones of a forgotten empire. Yet even after the first excitement faded, after the statues were cleaned and displayed, the wreck refused to yield its secrets. It hid something far more important than gold or marble. It hid knowledge. And that knowledge waited patiently, preserved by the salt and silence of the deep. When archaeologists first examined the recovered items, the now famous mechanism drew little attention. The statues were magnificent bronze heroes, marble horses, figures that captured the Greek ideal of beauty. But the strange, corroded block seemed lifeless, nearly shapeless, small beside the gods of marble. The museum catalogue simply labeled it as a bronze fragment. No one imagined it could alter the story of civilization. Decades passed. Greece changed governments, wars came and went, and the world entered the modern age. In the museum's quiet corners, that lump of bronze darkened further, its fragments wrapped in linen, ignored by visitors and curators alike. But destiny, as it often does, returned in the form of curiosity. In the 1950s, a physicist named Derek de Solla Price walked through those same aisles, drawn by whispers from old storage ledgers. What he found once he brushed away layers of corrosion took his breath away. Beneath green decay, there were gears. Interlocking, perfect gears with teeth so evenly cut they seemed to have been made by a machine. But there were no machines when this device was built. Only hands, tools, and an understanding of mathematics that the world had long forgotten. Price began taking X-ray images of the fragments, and what appeared on film seemed impossible. Behind the crust of marine deposits were at least 30 individual gears, neatly aligned in multiple layers, connected through precisely cut axles. Each tooth was spaced according to mathematical ratios used for calculating celestial cycles. The mechanism wasn't randomly made or accidental. It was deliberate, complex, alive with purpose. And the inscriptions, faint, nearly erased, offered a language of logic far ahead of its time. The labeling of the gears corresponded to cycles of the sun and moon. One dial, faintly visible, held names of cities related to ancient Greek festivals. Another, with inscriptions tied to lunar motion, revealed a deep understanding of celestial irregularities. The ancients didn't just track the heavens for beauty. They understood it enough to predict its future. The device, when reconstructed, proved capable of calculating eclipses, tracking planetary motion, and even forecasting the dates of ancient Olympic Games with astonishing precision. It was, in essence, a time machine, one that turned not by magic, but by mathematics. In those years of rediscovery, the mechanism forced scholars to face an uncomfortable question. How could ancient craftsmen achieve such sophistication? The level of complexity rivaled 18th-century clockmaking, yet this artifact predated that era by nearly 2,000 years. Historians, hesitant to challenge long-established timelines, attempted to rationalize it, suggesting coincidence, or the work of an unknown genius whose craft didn't spread. But the deeper they looked, the more the device resisted simplification. Every gear had meaning. Every motion, a reason. It wasn't the product of luck. It was a product of mastery. The site itself added layers of intrigue. The Antikythera wreck wasn't a local fishing vessel or merchant boat. It was a massive Roman-era ship carrying art and luxuries from the eastern Mediterranean. Some argued the device might have been stolen cargo from Alexandria, the cultural heart of the ancient world, transported for sale to the elite of Rome. If true, that meant it was the descendant of a forgotten technological tradition, a relic of a scientific lineage stretching back through Greece and Egypt. Some scholars suggested it could trace its roots to the workshops of Archimedes. Others believed it was created by his students, engineers who combined mathematical precision with philosophical wonder. The ocean, however, refuses to explain itself so easily. Further dives in the 2010s unearthed new fragments from the same wreck site, suggesting the original device had multiple dials and perhaps other instruments of similar precision. The discovery reignited debate. Were there more machines like it? How many wonders had vanished under the waves before we were ready to understand them? Scientists examined traces of craftsmanship. The quality of cutting implied tools capable of measurements under a millimeter. The mechanism's bronze was alloyed in near-perfect proportions, resisting decay for millennia. And inscribed upon its surface, under faint grooves and scratches, were words not decorative poetry, but instructions. They described cycles, movements of celestial bodies, and references to long-lost mathematical tables. It was not the work of superstition. It was the handwriting of scientists. Still, mystery lingered. The documentation mentioned different planetary markers, but fragments were too corroded to confirm if the device had tracked all known planets. Some sections hinted at an advanced understanding of elliptical movement, centuries before Kepler. To imagine that such a device existed in a world that still feared eclipses as omens, that still offered sacrifices to please unseen gods, it feels almost paradoxical. Yet perhaps that is the truth of human history, reason and reverence coexisting, logic emerging from myth. Deep in the halls of the museum, digital scans attempted to replicate the mechanism virtually. When computers finally reconstructed its gear system in full, the resulting model stunned even seasoned engineers. The device didn't only follow lunar and solar cycles. It simulated the alignment of celestial bodies using complex gear trains that mirrored the real motion of the heavens. And when turned by hand, its dials produced smooth transitions, no jerks, no skips, no mechanical hesitation. Perfect ratios producing a harmony of motion that mirrored the poetry of the universe itself. For the modern world, the Antikythera mechanism has become more than an archaeological treasure. It is a mirror reflecting humanity's forgotten boldness. Each corroded gear is a voice from history whispering, "We have been smarter, braver, and more curious than we remember. We built wonders before we named them." And if something like this could vanish from our collective memory, how many other revolutions might lie buried below the sea, waiting for another storm to reveal them? Inside that enigma of metal and time lies the bridge between myth and mathematics. The Antikythera mechanism was never meant to astonish us, it was meant to teach us. It is both message and warning, reminding us that progress is fragile, and that without the will to preserve knowledge, the lights of understanding can flicker out again. But the sea, with its patient silence, kept this one spark alive long enough for us to find it, to wonder, to remember. The Antikythera Mechanism, once buried beneath centuries of salt and time, is more than just a relic. It is a masterpiece of ancient engineering that stands as a testament to human ingenuity. This was no simple clock or ornamental device. It is a machine built to model the universe itself, to predict the celestial dance with a precision that astounds even modern scientists. Imagine gears interlocking with such meticulousness that the movements of the moon and sun could be anticipated, eclipses foretold decades in advance. Unlike the crude sundials or primitive calendars we often associate with antiquity, this device captured the subtleties of celestial mechanics and knowledge far beyond its era. Its creators grasped the cycles that govern our skies and translated them into mechanical form, inventing what many now call the world's first analog computer. The mechanism featured complex gear trains that mimicked the elliptical orbits and irregular motions of celestial bodies. While it couldn't replicate every detail of planetary paths, it delivered remarkably accurate predictions for lunar phases, solar cycles, and even the timing of ancient Greek games. This was a cosmic clockwork, designed to bring order to the heavens and reveal the rhythms that underpin life's passage on Earth. The sophistication of the mechanism's design reveals a mastery of not just mechanical craftsmanship but also of mathematics and astronomy. Its gears followed precise ratios, each tooth calibrated to convey specific astronomical knowledge. The ancient engineers who created it understood not only geometry but also the irregular motions inherent in celestial orbits, knowledge that took modern science centuries to fully comprehend. What surprises many is the degree of precision achievable through purely mechanical means. The edges of each gear were cut with the utmost care, requiring tools and techniques thought impossible for that era. The bronze alloy composition was tailored to withstand corrosion yet still maintain the delicate movements essential for its function. Every assembled component reflected a harmony of art, science, and philosophy. Digital reconstructions of the mechanism reveal its dials and inscriptions in full detail. The main face displayed the lunar calendar, representing the moon's phases and nodal cycle, critical for eclipses. Smaller dials tracked the metonic cycle, a 19-year period after which lunar and solar calendars realign. Another dial represented the Saros cycle, used to predict eclipses with remarkable accuracy. This layering of knowledge was packed into one compact, mechanical marvel. This engineering feat transcended mere calculation. The device provided a tangible connection between terrestrial time and celestial motion, a bridge between human experience and the cosmos. It was both a scientific instrument and a philosophical symbol, embodying how the ancients viewed the universe, as an interconnected whole governed by predictable laws. Historians have long speculated on the genius behind its invention. Some point to Archimedes, whose ideas on mechanics and geometry formed the basis for many later technologies. Others suggest a collective effort by scholars in hubs like Alexandria, where intellectual exchange was vibrant. Regardless of the origin, it is clear that this machine was the product of a civilization at the pinnacle of scientific achievement. Its discovery challenges long-held assumptions about the timeline of technological progress. For centuries, it was believed that complex machinery with interlocking gears only emerged in the Renaissance or even later. Yet here, in an artifact more than 2 millennia old, lies evidence of an advanced mechanical understanding that was lost for centuries, forcing us to rethink the narrative of the so-called Dark Ages of technology. Equally fascinating is the philosophical implication of the mechanism's existence. It reveals an ancient worldview, one where astronomy was central to culture, religion, and daily life. Time was not linear but cyclical, echoing the repetitive patterns of the sky. This machine did more than measure time, it modeled the cosmos, linking human fate to the celestial order. In modern times, the Antikythera mechanism has inspired engineers and scientists alike. Its intricate design informs the study of early technology and mechanical computation. The principles it embodies laid the groundwork for later astronomical clocks and, eventually, the first digital computers. It is a reminder that innovation often has deep roots, buried in the forgotten ingenuity of our ancestors. The mechanism teaches us that scientific progress is not a straight path but a complex journey, with knowledge lost and rediscovered across epochs. Each gear and dial echoes with the hands that shaped it, a silent testimony to human curiosity and the relentless pursuit of understanding. It reminds us that the past still holds secrets vital to the future. The story does not end with the mechanism itself. It prompts us to question what else remains hidden beneath the earth and see what other wonders await rediscovery. As modern technology advances, perhaps we will find more ancient devices that redefine our understanding of history, technology, and the human spirit. Thus, the Antikythera Mechanism stands not merely as a relic but as a symbol, a beacon illuminating the endless quest for knowledge and the enduring connection between humanity and the stars above. Who could have built such an extraordinary machine, so far ahead of its time? This question haunts historians and scientists alike. Among the most compelling theories is the association of the Antikythera Mechanism with the great mind of Archimedes. Known as a polymath who reshaped the foundations of mathematics, physics, and engineering, Archimedes embodies the height of Greek ingenuity. Some suggest he or his school created the device to visualize the cosmos, a tool that would have astounded even modern engineers. Archaeological evidence lends weight to this theory. From ancient texts, we know Archimedes designed intricate machines to solve mechanical problems, including automatic devices and war machines. The sophistication of the mechanism's gears and dials aligns with principles found in his writings. But if Archimedes was indeed the mastermind behind this marvel, it's confounding why no direct records of it survive, and why such advanced technology seemingly disappeared for centuries afterward. The workshop that crafted the Antikythera Mechanism remains a mystery buried in history. Alexandria, Egypt, stands as a prime candidate. The ancient city was a melting pot of cultures, ideas, and scientific advancement, home to the legendary Library of Alexandria. Scholars here studied everything from astronomy to mechanics, blending Egyptian and Greek knowledge. The mechanism possibly emerged from this confluence of ideas, a testament to Alexandria's role as the intellectual hub of the ancient world. Yet, the device may not have been unique in its time. Some scholars hypothesize an entire tradition of mechanical craftsmanship existed but was lost due to disasters like the burning of the library and political upheaval. This idea implies the mechanism was a survivor from a broader, sophisticated technological lineage, shattered and forgotten through history's storms. The thoughtful inscriptions on the mechanism's surfaces add further clues. These are not merely labels but detailed astronomical annotations, referencing cycles such as the Metonic and Callippic cycles, which mark complex lunar and solar rhythms. Their presence evidences a profound understanding of celestial timing and a desire to encode this knowledge precisely, something only master astronomers and engineers could achieve. At the same time, the mechanical precision required to fashion this device suggests cooperative craftsmanship. Bronze had to be alloyed to exact ratios for durability without sacrificing workability. Each gear required custom machining, sand casting, and careful assembly. The technology for such production implies a workshop with specialized knowledge and tools, perhaps overseen by a master engineer with access to skilled artisans. There is also speculation that the mechanism's creator sought to symbolize philosophical ideas physically. Ancient Greeks viewed the cosmos as an ordered, harmonious system, a perfect machine. The mechanism mirrors this belief. It is a microcosm embodying the macrocosm. Its gears and wheels represent heavenly bodies, their cycles intertwining in eternal dance. In this way, it was both a scientific instrument and a work of art representing humanity's yearning to comprehend the universe. Despite extensive study, some mysteries remain. Which celestial bodies did it observe? Fragments hint at planetary indicators, yet the full setup is incomplete. Was it designed to track Mercury, Venus, or Mars? Its partially preserved inscriptions make these questions difficult to answer conclusively, fueling ongoing research and debate. Further dives at the Antikythera site uncovered additional fragments, each revealing more about the mechanism's scale and complexity. Some pieces appear to be part of a calendrical system, possibly linked to agricultural or religious observances. This breadth of application suggests the device's relevance extended beyond astronomy. It was integrated into ancient daily life and timekeeping. The disappearance of such technology represents one of history's greatest tragedies. The progression of human knowledge depends on preserving and transmitting discoveries, yet the mechanism exemplifies what can be lost through catastrophe, war, or neglect. Its rediscovery compels us to question what other marvels have vanished from history's record, buried beneath time's relentless erosion. Ultimately, the Antikythera mechanism reminds us that innovation is fragile, and genius can be fleeting. It challenges us to look deeper into the past, to appreciate that advanced ideas did not always flow in a straight line to modernity. Sometimes, mankind leaps forward only to fall back into shadow, its brightest achievement swallowed by time until rediscovered. The quest to uncover the truth behind this extraordinary device continues. Through modern imaging, experimental archaeology, and interdisciplinary study, we inch closer to understanding the people who built it, their motivations, and the knowledge they possessed. This journey unites history, science, and humanity's collective wonder in a narrative as intricate as the mechanism's many gears. In the end, the question lingers: was the Antikythera mechanism a solitary genius' creation, or the product of a lost civilization's collective knowledge? The answer lies not only in fragments of bronze but in what it reveals about the breadth and depth of ancient human creativity. It invites us to reconsider the legacy of the past and our place in the continuum of discovery. If the Antikythera mechanism was not a one-off masterpiece, then what happened to the knowledge and skill that produced it? This question has puzzled researchers for decades. The prevailing theory is that this remarkable device was the product of a lost scientific tradition, a community of inventor scholars, whose expertise was nearly erased by time and turmoil. Ancient Greece was not a monolith but a collection of city-states, each dedicated to art, philosophy, or military power. Among them, some centers of learning, like Alexandria and Rhodes, stood out as hubs of intellectual innovation. These cities hosted workshops where mechanics and mathematicians collaborated, merging theory with practice. The Antikythera mechanism may have emerged from this network, a pinnacle of collective human achievement. The Library of Alexandria, with its vast collection of scrolls and manuscripts, symbolized this golden age. Scholars from across the ancient world gathered there to study, debate, and invent. The collision of Greek, Egyptian, and Babylonian knowledge created fertile ground for technological breakthroughs. The mechanism reflects this blending of cultures, combining Babylonian astronomy's numerical tables with Greek philosophical concepts about the cosmos. Yet the city's eventual destruction remains a stark reminder of how fragile progress can be. The loss of the library, whether by fire or conquest, robbed humanity of centuries of accumulated wisdom. Documents describing the device or its makers, along with countless other inventions, likely perished in the flames. Without written records, the transmission of such advanced concepts faltered, and mechanical technology stagnated. Over subsequent centuries, astronomical devices became simpler and less precise. The precision gearwork showcased in the Antikythera mechanism was not seen again until the Renaissance. This gap represents a scientific hiatus, where knowledge was lost, and progress had to begin anew from a diminished baseline. This void challenges the linear narrative of human development, exposing ruptures where civilizations advance and collapse. The collective skill embodied in the mechanism tells a story of collaboration. Craftsmen specializing in metallurgy, mathematicians mapping celestial cycles, philosophical thinkers contemplating the universe, they all contributed. The gears were not made by one person, but by a community. Each cog and wheel was designed with purpose, demanding a workshop equipped with precision tools and artisans skilled in assembly and calibration. Such complexity also implies social support and patronage. The creation of the mechanism was not a casual endeavor, but a project requiring time, resources, and an audience to justify its existence. It may have been commissioned by a ruling elite interested in astronomy's predictive power or philosophical symbolism. Alternatively, it could have been a teaching tool designed to inspire curiosity and understanding among students of science. This intellectual environment was vulnerable. Political upheaval, wars, and shifting powers disrupted centers of learning. The decline of Greek influence followed by Roman dominance changed priorities away from pure science. As societies focused on conquest and administration, technological innovation slowed. The tools and workshops required for such fine craftsmanship disappeared or were repurposed for military production. The fragile chain of knowledge transmission suffered. Manuscripts were copied by hand, prone to loss and error. Oral traditions faded without tangible artifacts to anchor memory. When cities like Alexandria fell, the community of scholars dispersed. Without constant practice and innovation, mechanical knowledge became myth or forgotten lore. Even after the Renaissance reignited mechanical and scientific inquiry, centuries passed before anyone fully appreciated the Antikythera mechanism. It was not until the 20th century that technology was sufficient to study and understand such an artifact in depth. The delay underscores how interruptions in cultural continuity can erase achievements for generations. Today, technological historians view the mechanism as a symbol of human potential and fragility. It embodies collective effort, yet also warns how easily progress can vanish. It challenges us to consider what other knowledge may lie buried beneath layers of history, waiting for rediscovery. The lost workshop of the mechanism's creators remains hidden, but its legacy endures. Our understanding of the past shapes our present and future. By studying the Antikythera mechanism, we connect with an ancient lineage of thinkers and makers. Their story encourages collaboration across disciplines and cultures, emphasizing that knowledge is a shared endeavor requiring preservation and transmission. In tracing the path of this technological tradition, we glimpse the cyclical nature of human progress, advances and losses intertwined through time. The mechanism's existence reveals that great inventions may not emerge from isolated genius but from vibrant communities pushing the boundaries of understanding. This ancient network of creators reminds us to value intellectual hubs today and protect the knowledge we cultivate. In a world of rapid change, preserving and sharing innovation remains vital. The mechanism reminds us that while genius can be fleeting, the legacy of collective human curiosity endures across millennia. It calls us to remember, to rebuild, and to dream of what might yet be rediscovered beneath the sands and seas of history. The Antikythera mechanism continues to astonish modern scientists because of the advanced technologies used today to unlock its secrets. Unlike the initial discovery in 1901, modern imaging tools such as computed tomography, CT, scans, X-ray microtomography, and 3D modeling have allowed researchers to peer inside the corroded bronze, revealing the device's intricate gearworks without dismantling the fragile fragments. These digital excavations have reconstructed the mechanism's internal architecture layer by layer, uncovering over 30 distinct gears arranged with precise mathematical ratios. Such technologies have transformed the rusted fragment into a virtual analog computer, allowing scientists to simulate how it would have functioned more than 2 millennia ago. The application of artificial intelligence in analyzing these scans has further accelerated understanding, teasing out inscriptions that provide astronomical data and instructions inscribed by the original creators. This melding of classic archaeology with cutting-edge computational methods exemplifies interdisciplinary collaboration, bridging history, physics, engineering, and computer science. The Antikythera mechanism thus serves not only as a historical artifact but also as a catalyst inspiring new ways of combining fields to solve complex puzzles. It embodies a union of ancient ingenuity and contemporary technology, showing how scientific progress often layers knowledge across time. Reconstructing the mechanism digitally has revealed its remarkable capacity to simulate cycles of the Moon and Sun, predict eclipses, and track planetary positions. The discovery of dials calibrated to the Metonic and Saros cycles essential for understanding lunar and solar periodicities confirms that ancient engineers encoded sophisticated astronomical models in mechanical form. This revelation has deepened appreciation for how Hellenistic scholars integrated observations and mathematical theories, turning abstract knowledge into tactile instruments. Moreover, the technology used for studying the mechanism today has broader implications for education and research in STEM fields. Virtual reality reconstructions and interactive simulations allow students and scientists worldwide to explore the mechanism's workings firsthand, fostering hands-on learning about ancient technologies and their principles. By visualizing the cosmos as the ancients did, modern learners connect with humanity's enduring quest to decode the universe. This educational impact underscores how rediscovered artifacts can inform and inspire future innovation. The mechanism's study also challenges the perception of scientific history as a linear timeline advancing steadily forward. Instead, it reveals periods of remarkable technological achievement interrupted by loss and rediscovery. The integration of new imaging technologies has allowed researchers to recover details that would have otherwise remained forever hidden, restoring lost chapters of technological evolution. This process exemplifies how the past continuously informs the present, reshaping narratives about the origins of knowledge. Despite significant advancements, some mysteries linger about the mechanism's full scope and origin. Researchers continue to debate whether it included displays for all known planets and what the extent of its astronomical accuracy was. Ongoing excavations and improvements in imaging may yet reveal missing parts or related artifacts, which could expand understanding even further. The Antikythera mechanism remains a living subject of inquiry, inviting exploration at the frontier of science and history. Ultimately, the fusion of ancient craftsmanship and 21st-century technology embodied in the Antikythera mechanism inspires awe and humility. It reminds us that innovation is both timeless and fragile, requiring stewardship and curiosity across generations. The rediscovery of this clockwork cosmos not only illuminates the brilliance of ancient minds but also encourages contemporary science to honor and expand upon this heritage. As technology continues to evolve, so too does humanity's capacity to explore, interpret, and preserve the legacies of knowledge that started turning beneath the waves centuries ago. The discovery of the Antikythera mechanism not only amazed the world with its complexity, but it also ignited intense debates and controversies in the scientific community, debates that continue to this day. For many years, the notion that such an advanced mechanical calculator could exist in the ancient world was met with skepticism. Some scholars dismissed it as a hoax or an overinterpretation of degraded parts. Others questioned the accuracy of its astronomical predictions or the very feasibility of ancient craftsmen producing gears with the precision required. These controversies highlight the tension between established historical narratives and new evidence that challenges our understanding of technological progress. At the heart of the debate lies the question of whether the Antikythera mechanism truly functioned as an astronomical computer or merely as a sophisticated calendar device. A faction of scientists argued that while it was indeed intricate, it was limited in scope and that the astronomical functions ascribed to it were exaggerated. Critics pointed to the wear and deterioration of the fragments, suggesting that reliable mechanical operation over long periods would have been challenging. They also raised questions about why no other similar devices had been found, proposing it might be a unique, possibly experimental machine, not representative of widespread ancient technology. However, many researchers provided compelling counterarguments backed by careful imaging and reconstruction studies. Using advanced X-ray imaging and computed tomography, scientists uncovered more than 30 bronze gears arranged precisely to model cycles of the Sun, Moon, and the 5 known planets of the era. These findings supported the idea that the mechanism was far more than a calendar and could predict complex astronomical events such as eclipses. Mathematical modeling showed how the gear ratios reflected knowledge of elliptical planetary orbits, a fact centuries ahead of its time, and such sophistication requires intentional design and deep scientific knowledge. Some skeptics remained unconvinced by the technology alone, questioning the cultural and intellectual context that could produce such a device. They argued that the mechanism's functionality exceeded what was historically documented for ancient Greek technology and theory. The debate extended into broader issues about the nature and transmission of ancient knowledge, raising the possibility that the mechanism's technology, while exceptional, might be a lost example of a broader tradition suppressed by historical upheavals. The discovery has also prompted alternative theories and speculations, some more controversial than others. A few enthusiasts have linked the mechanism to lost civilizations, hypothesizing that its technology predates classical Greek science. These claims, often popularized in media, suggest that the device's existence implies advanced civilizations with hidden technologies, adding layers of mystery but also skepticism among scholars who adhere strictly to the archaeological record. Despite the controversies, ongoing research continues to reinforce the Antikythera Mechanism's status as a marvel of Hellenistic engineering. Interdisciplinary investigations involving archaeologists, historians, engineers, and astronomers have refined our understanding and patchworked the device's operational narrative. Reconstructions, both physical and computerized, have demonstrated the mechanism's ability to calculate lunar and solar cycles, predict eclipses, and even forecast Olympic Games dates, the latter tying its astronomical functions directly to social and cultural life. Inscriptions etched on the mechanism's surface add another dimension to the debate. These texts provide instructions for use and detailed descriptions of celestial cycles, suggesting that the device was intended not just as a scientific instrument but also as a teaching tool. The clarity and precision of the inscriptions are difficult to reconcile with a primitive or isolated technology, underscoring that the makers had a sophisticated grasp of astronomy and engineering. Yet, interpreting these inscriptions remains a challenging task due to fragmentary preservation and ancient linguistic complexities. The mechanism's discovery has revolutionized our understanding of ancient science and technology, but it also reminds us of the limitations of archaeological evidence. Many key pieces remain missing or too corroded to analyze fully. This incomplete picture means that interpretations must remain tentative, open to revision as new evidence emerges. The debates themselves underscore the dynamic nature of historical and scientific inquiry, where certainty is elusive, and each discovery prompts new questions. In modern science, the Antikythera mechanism serves as a case study for how ancient innovation can be obscured by time, and how science must confront its biases and assumptions. It challenges the linear models of technological progress that dominate much historical thinking, advocating for a more nuanced view recognizing lost knowledge and interrupted traditions. This has implications for how we view other ancient artifacts and civilizations, encouraging more open-minded exploration. The controversy also inspired technological recreations and public engagement. Museums around the world feature replicas that allow visitors to interact with tangible models, bridging past and present. Educational programs use the mechanism to teach STEM principles, illustrating gears, ratios, and astronomical cycles physically and visually. In this way, the mechanism transcends debate, becoming a cultural icon and educational beacon highlighting human creativity and curiosity. Ultimately, the Antikythera Mechanism's contentious history reflects humanity's broader struggle to comprehend its past contributions and the mysteries that endure. It is a symbol of how evidence can challenge received wisdom and spark discussion across academic and public spheres. The debates enliven the story of this ancient device, inviting continuous investigation and interpretation as new technologies reveal ever finer details. The conversation about the Antikythera mechanism is far from over. As analytical tools improve, and as additional fragments are possibly discovered, our understanding will deepen. Each answer uncovered tends to reveal more layers to the puzzle, expanding the horizon of inquiry. The mechanism, once a forgotten heap of corroded bronze, now stands as a monument to the enduring human quest for knowledge, complete with its controversy, complexity, and wonder. The Antikythera mechanism, while firmly rooted in ancient Greek innovation, also reflects a rich tapestry of cultural and scientific influences that stretch far beyond its apparent origin. Understanding its roots requires us to look back further into the ancient world, where civilizations such as those in Babylon and Egypt had already made remarkable strides in astronomy and mathematics. The complex cycles encoded in the mechanism, like the Metonic and Saros cycles, bear the imprint of these earlier traditions, indicating a continuum of knowledge passed, adapted, and refined over centuries. The Babylonians, renowned for their detailed astronomical records, developed sophisticated lunar and planetary models that laid groundwork for later Hellenistic astronomers. Their cyclical approach to understanding celestial events, using precise numerical patterns to predict eclipses and planetary movements, formed the intellectual backbone upon which the Antikythera mechanism was built. The Greeks inherited, blended, and sometimes expanded this knowledge, marrying it with their geometrical philosophy and mechanical ingenuity. Egypt, with its long history of astronomical observation linked to agricultural cycles and religious practice, contributed another essential thread to this scientific lineage. The priests of Sais, famed custodians of ancient wisdom as told by Plato, preserved oral and written records that likely fed into the Greek understanding of the cosmos. The details of Atlantis in Plato's dialogues, transmitted from Egyptian sources, embed this notion of a lost civilization's advanced knowledge, a civilization plausibly connected to the very origins of the mechanism. This perspective invites contemplation of the possibility that the Antikythera mechanism is part of a lost continuum, a fragment of a broader technological and philosophical tradition that reached back to earlier civilizations, perhaps even to prehistoric or Atlantean cultures hinted at in myth and legend. The 2025 discovery of the Rewrote structure, a submerged and buried complex in the Sahara exhibiting signs of advanced engineering and metallurgy, pushes this boundary further. Its geological context and artifacts, dated to around 11,600 years ago, suggest a highly developed society long predating known Bronze Age civilizations. Such discoveries disrupt the linear model of history, suggesting that ancient technological achievements were not isolated incidents but episodes in a far deeper and more intricate story of human development. They raise profound questions about the transmission, loss, and revival of knowledge, how societies capable of astronomical instruments, intricate calendars, and engineering marvels could vanish, only for their insights to emerge again millennia later in altered forms. The Antikythera mechanism stands at this crossroads, symbolizing how Hellenistic Greek science gathered the legacies of Babylonian mathematical astronomy, Egyptian religious cosmology, and Greek mechanical craftsmanship. It embodies the fusion of diverse traditions into a unified scientific vision, expressed tangibly through bronze gears engaging in a cosmic dance. This synthesis of ideas highlights the interconnectedness of ancient civilizations and the cumulative nature of human inquiry. While the mechanism itself remains a pinnacle of ancient engineering, its roots and implications invite a reconsideration of what humanity has achieved and lost. The artifacts from Rewrote and other recently studied sites prompt new investigations into the Atlantean hypothesis, not as mere fantasy but as historical possibility requiring serious multidisciplinary research. Climate data, geological evidence, and archaeology together portray a world where advanced human societies emerged, flourished, and disappeared under cataclysmic events, passing their knowledge into the mythic and historical record. This expanded view allows us to see the Antikythera mechanism not merely as an isolated curiosity but as a survivor of a long human tradition that sought to merge observation, mathematics, and mechanics to comprehend the cosmos. It reveals how knowledge is both resilient and vulnerable, resilient in its ability to inspire across millennia, vulnerable in its dependence on cultural continuity and preservation. In the grand narrative of civilization, the mechanism and its possible Atlantean predecessors remind us that human ingenuity may be cyclical, with knowledge advancing and retreating in waves shaped by history's tides. The constellations traced on its dials thus become metaphors for a broader pattern: the rise and fall of societies, the waxing and waning of wisdom. In excavating these ancient gears, we unearth not just technological artifacts, but echoes of lost worlds, of civilizations whose contributions shaped the foundations upon which later knowledge stands. The Antikythera Mechanism's story is thus inseparable from the broader archaeological mystery of ancient technological and cultural achievements beyond traditional timelines. It challenges researchers to embrace more comprehensive models of history that accommodate disruptions, cross-cultural transmissions, and forgotten epochs of brilliance. Through such lenses, the mechanism shines as a beacon illuminating humanity's quest to understand time, space, and existence itself. Far from the silent depths of the Mediterranean or the arid deserts of Africa, this legacy resonates today in our ongoing efforts to reconstruct, interpret, and learn from the past. It underscores the imperative to protect cultural heritage and support multidisciplinary explorations that venture beyond orthodoxy. In doing so, we honor the ingenuity of those who crafted the earliest cosmic computers and acknowledge that our journey toward knowledge is part of a vast, ancient continuum, a continuum that may yet reveal more astonishing discoveries beneath the sands, rocks, and ruins of forgotten ages. The Antikythera Mechanism's legacy reverberates through modern science and technology, inspiring new ways to think about computation, engineering, and cultural heritage. Its discovery illuminated the dawn of analog computing, challenging the assumption that complex mechanical calculation was solely a product of the Renaissance or later eras. By acting as a precursor to modern computing devices, it reminds us how deeply embedded the human desire to understand and predict the cosmos is in our collective history. Today, museums worldwide showcase replicas and digital simulations of the mechanism, inviting experts and the public alike to explore its workings. These interactive models demonstrate timeless principles of gear ratios, rotational motion, and cyclical patterns inherent in astronomy. Their educational utility spans disciplines from physics through mathematics to history and philosophy, making the device a potent STEM teaching tool even 2 millennia after its creation. The mechanism's influence extends beyond education. Mechanical engineers and computer scientists study its differential gearing and transmission systems as early examples of complex machine design. These principles have applications in automotive technology, robotics, and precision instruments today, showing how ancient ingenuity can inform contemporary innovation. The use of virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality, AR, further democratizes access to the mechanism's secrets. Detailed three-dimensional models allow users worldwide to visualize gear interactions, celestial cycles, and inscriptions, fostering appreciation for ancient science. This blend of old and new enriches cultural understanding and rekindles interest in historical technology like never before. Moreover, the Antikythera mechanism challenges linear narratives of progress. Its existence reveals a cyclical pattern where knowledge can be lost and rediscovered. It demands recognition of ancient cultures not as intellectually primitive but as sophisticated thinkers whose achievements laid foundational stones for modern science and technology. This insight resonates in a broader historical context involving the preservation and transmission of knowledge. Ancient technological systems depended heavily on cultural continuity, trade, and scholarship. Interruptions due to war, social upheaval, or natural disasters could sever this continuity, leading to dark ages in which knowledge was fragmented or hidden until rediscovered generations later. The study and reconstruction of the mechanism exemplify interdisciplinary collaboration involving historians, mathematicians, engineers, archaeologists, and computer scientists. This synergy reflects the device's own creation, rooted in a fusion of observational astronomy, applied mathematics, and mechanical fabrication. It underscores the value of collaboration in uncovering complex historical and scientific puzzles. As research progresses, debates continue over the mechanism's full features and capacities. Some scholars posit it contained astrological or calendrical functions now lost to time. Others suggest it belonged to a series of devices or a larger knowledge tradition still waiting to be uncovered. These open questions fuel scientific inquiry and public fascination alike. The Antikythera mechanism ultimately stands as a minimalist bridge between ancient wisdom and digital age innovation, linking centuries through the universal quest to measure, understand, and predict the cosmos. It exemplifies how artifacts are not just remnants of the past but living sources of inspiration and knowledge. In considering its significance, we are reminded to cherish and protect cultural heritage, encouraging ongoing exploration and scholarship. The device's story encourages humility before the vastness of human ingenuity and the temporal fragility of discovery. Thus, what began as a corroded bronze lump pulled from the sea has transformed into a beacon of human curiosity and perseverance. It tells a timeless story of how ancient minds sought to capture the rhythms of the heavens, inspiring us to continue that quest into the future. The Antikythera mechanism stands as one of humanity's most profound links to the ingenuity of the ancient world, a device born from minds curious about the cosmos and driven by the desire to understand the intricate rhythms of the heavens. As we conclude this journey, the story of this ancient analog computer transcends the fragments of corroded bronze and complex gears. It symbolizes the timeless human quest for knowledge that bridges millennia. Recovered from a Roman-era shipwreck in the early 20th century, this remarkable machine embodies a lost tradition of mechanical craftsmanship and astronomical insight that challenges modern assumptions about ancient technology. It demonstrates that sophisticated engineering, capable of mathematically modeling the lunar phases, eclipses, and the cycles of celestial bodies, existed nearly 2,000 years ago, far earlier than once believed. Its design is a harmonious convergence of philosophy, mathematics, and mechanics, a physical manifestation of the Greek worldview where the cosmos is a precise, ordered system, worthy of study, prediction, and reverence. The intricate interplay of over 30 gears, meticulously crafted and arranged according to mathematical ratios, allowed users to simulate the motions of the sun, moon, and planets, forecast eclipses, and track time as defined by the cycles of the heavens and the rhythm of Greek festivals. Despite its brilliance, the device was not without imperfection. Advanced virtual reconstructions reveal its complex gear teeth, shaped triangularly, often caused jams and required resetting after months of continuous operation, a humanizing reminder that even ancient genius faced the constraints of material and technology. Its inscriptions, painstakingly etched in Greek, reveal it was as much an educational tool as a computational instrument designed for scholars, students, or perhaps cultic observers dedicated to celestial cycles. These texts remain among the oldest scientific manuals, providing operational guidance and linking the cosmic calculations with cultural and religious life. The ship that bore the mechanism was itself a product of ancient global connections, a vessel carrying goods, artworks, scientific instruments, and ideas across the Mediterranean. This context highlights the vibrant exchanges that fueled cultural and scientific development, underscoring that knowledge was not isolated but traveled with merchants and travelers. The mechanism's influence reaches far beyond its original era. Today, it inspires engineers and computer scientists, who see in its mechanical math the ancestors of modern computation. It breathes life into STEM education through virtual reality models and museum replicas, making abstract astronomical and mechanical concepts accessible worldwide. Its study emphasizes interdisciplinary collaboration, echoing the ancient blend of philosophy, mathematics, and technical skill. In challenging the narrative that sees scientific progress as linear and modern-centric, the Antikythera Mechanism reminds us of the fragility and cyclical nature of knowledge, how innovation can be lost and rediscovered. It raises deeper questions about humanity's technological heritage. How many other secrets lie buried under centuries of sand and sea? How much of our scientific past remains hidden, waiting to illuminate our future? As we contemplate this ancient marvel, we glimpse a continuum of curiosity and creativity that propels humanity forward. The corroded gears speak of hands molding bronze, eyes observing stars, and minds weaving science into the fabric of everyday life. More than a machine, it is a symbol of timeless human wonder, a testament that our shared past is filled with astonishing achievements, patiently waiting to inspire new generations. The Antikythera Mechanism invites us all to explore, question, and marvel at the cosmos, as those before us did, and as we continue to do today.